This week on the Digital Coffee, TikTok are launching a web-based video editor, which means you'll be able to make TikTok-style videos on your desktop. Twitter are going to let you schedule spaces, and soon you're going to be able to have meetings on the Facebook portal device, no matter which software you use. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news. My name is Amanda Webb. I am grasping this cup because I am desperate for a coffee, which I'm not allowed until I finish this show, because otherwise I talk too fast. I'd like to know what is in your cup. If you are watching on Facebook and you leave a comment and tell me what's here in your cup, I will send you a copy of the Digital Coffee newspaper, which has all these stories I'm talking about today and links so you can go and browse it in your own time. Or you could answer my question of the week, which is, she needs to get it back on the screen. Are you ready for the iOS update? Now, just to say what the iOS update is. This is all to do with Facebook ads. If you have the Facebook pixel on your website, you need to know about this because iPhones are about to have a new operating system that is going to basically give people the option to opt out of Facebook tracking them. And we imagine people are going to do that. So I'm going to talk about that at the end of the show. At the moment, has anyone heard of this? You should have done if you watch the show regularly. And if so, have you implemented anything yet? If that's too technical a question, just tell me what's in your coffee cup or just say hi, like Barbara has, who's excited about scheduling spaces. Yeah, me too. And good morning to Lee, who is telling me that she's in the office drinking coffee. So lots of news stories for you today. Before I start, can I ask those of you that are watching, how is the sound? Does it sound like I'm in my office on a exterior microphone and I'm all a bit tinny? I need you to tell me, because for the last few weeks, when I go back and watch the show, there has been a tinniness that I haven't been able to deal with. Or does it, if I get really close to the microphone, do I sound really good? I want to know because it tells me it's routing the right microphone. Barbara says the sound's perfect. That's good. Good morning to Jen, who is watching on YouTube. Great to see you here, Jen. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. And let's talk news.
Hi, I'm Lee from Wellshot, and you're watching the Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Cheers.
Now, you know that accessibility is really important online, but it has taken social networks, and actually I would say the whole world, way too long to recognize that. And of course, accessibility means that people with all people are able to access content, to be able to consume content on the web, not just those who have perfect sight, perfect hearing, no disabilities at all, or don't suffer from, can't remember the term, but it's really important that our content is available to everyone. Imagine living in a world where you couldn't see half of what was going on the internet. So it has taken everyone, I think, way too long to jump into this. But TikTok this week is launching their newest accessibility tool. Now, the accessibility tool itself isn't that exciting. It's auto-captioning, which we know we've had on Facebook, we've had on YouTube for a long time. When you upload a video to TikTok, you'll have the option for it to auto-caption your video. And don't worry if it gets it wrong, because you are going to be able to edit those auto captions. And I'm sure it'll be like the other networks, they'll be a little bit ropey to start with, and it will get better. And once you've published it, the viewer can choose whether they want to watch with captions or without captions. So great move. It's not their first accessibility tool. They've been working hard on this over the last few months. But what really strikes me about this is what a turnaround in the branding from TikTok. And I think we can all learn a lot from this. If you've been watching this show for a while, I'd say about 2 years ago, I wasn't excited about TikTok. I was a little bit worried about TikTok because there were news stories out there. I don't know if they're true. You know, they were on legitimate sites, but I'm just going to say this is what we saw. That TikTok back then, which was still 100% Chinese owned, they hadn't brought in their American partners yet. TikTok was withholding reach from content from people with disabilities and people who were overweight, which was one of the reasons I was really anti-TikTok back then. But since then, they've brought on an American CEO and they're really working hard that every single part of their marketing is designed to show them as a caring company. And I think the way that they're forging ahead with their accessibility is just one step towards that. And that has changed my mind about TikTok. I've gone from being a disliker of TikTok for the way it runs its business to actually feeling slightly warm about the network. So more than the fact that we can now auto caption on TikTok, which is great, I am just delighted to see that a business is using its marketing power to make a real difference in the world. Or maybe I'm over egging that. Good morning to Ian. Hello, Ian. Great to see you. Now, Ian, I'm going to ask you a question. I've been having a problem with my sound. And I think the last time you watched was one of the times that I had the problem with the sound, that it seemed to be taken from my external microphone rather than this microphone. So you can tell me how good or bad my sound is. Good. Lee has a big comment here. Let's have a look at that. I've heard of it, but I'm hoping my lovely Facebook Ads Manager. So this is about the iOS update. I will be talking more about that later, so I'm going to skip. She does have a lovely Ads Manager, just like to mention. She's great. Her Ads Manager is one of the best. Ian says he's just joined TikTok. Do I like TikTok? I'm not a fan. Isn't the security and privacy still an issue? I think actually TikTok is going to be massively affected by the iOS update that's coming up because they do track you a lot. I'm not 100% up to date with their privacy. Do I like it? I like watching it. It's highly addictive. I love some of the creative things, particularly younger people are doing. Really envy them for having this tool. You know, when I was their age, I was lugging around massive film and TV equipment to go and shoot something, whereas the stuff that they can do on their phone way outstrips what I was able to do back then. Good morning to Catherine. And Lee's got a big smile. Lee's got a big smile. Yes, because your Facebook Ads Manager is so great. I know. Let's move on.
This is May King from The FOMO Creator, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
There's no denying it. Clubhouse has built a really strong and loyal community really fast. Like they have. If you see any conversation online, I would say Clubhouse users are as passionate as Android users. If you've ever seen an iPhone versus Android thing, it used to be the iPhone users were the passionate ones, not anymore. Clubhouse has turned into one of those things that people either love or hate, and people are really passionate about. And this week, they're adding a monetization tool. They're adding Clubhouse payments. And how this works, it seems, they're giving a select number of creators the opportunity to receive money. And then everyone else can give these people money. You just tap onto their profile and you will be able to choose an amount of money that you want to send to them and send them money. And this, of course, is going to be great for all those people that are spending hours and hours putting together a really good Clubhouse experience every single day. They'll now be able to be paid for this. But one thing that Clubhouse don't mention in their article is that what are you going to do with it? It's just like somebody can send you whatever amount of money that they want. How are you going to use this? So I think by leaving it up to the users, this is a really clever way of seeing what sorts of monetization tools people will want. Will people have private rooms that you can only access if you pay some money? Will they have maybe add it into a membership, you know? So if you've got a membership, you have a weekly chat on Clubhouse and you'll be able to pay for your membership that way, much like Facebook have tried with their paid groups. I don't know if that ever took off. Are you just going to be able to maybe send people money to ask a question or to get on stage? It's going to be really interesting to see how this is used and how Clubhouse then evolve their monetization tools as part of it. I'm not a big Clubhouser. I do enjoy Twitter Spaces. I always feel like I should be doing things on Clubhouse. I haven't even filled my profile in, and I've been there since Christmas. But I know people love it, and I can see people are getting real value from the network. Hello, Catherine. Do you think there is a misbalance back towards a gig economy for content creation? I think I need you to explain the question more. Do you mean that maybe when you're paying a creator to get into a room or to get some exclusive content? I don't think that's... Is that if it's related to Clubhouse, let me know. I think, this is a way that we can reward influencers because, or creators, if you hate the word influencer, creators, because there are people out there, creating day in, day out, and the only way they have to monetize is by doing partnerships, and that turns us off them, right? So I think this is a new way that we can monetize the content we want, much like we may choose to pay for Netflix or we may choose to pay for Amazon Prime. We can pay to watch content from the creators that we like. I think it's a really good way to monetize, but that may not be what you meant at all. So do let me know in the comments.
Hi, I'm Carmel Siri, and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Social media marketers and agencies, I think, still do the majority of their work from desktop. Yes, we know that in the whole worldwide that people use their mobile phones to access the internet. A lot of website traffic comes from mobile. Most of the social traffic comes from mobile. But for us who are working on marketing every single day, our laptops are probably more important to us than our phones. Our phones are for leisure. Our laptops are for work. And I have to say, if my laptop broke down, it would be more upsetting to me than if my phone broke down. And this has presented a problem for marketers who want to advertise on TikTok. Because of course you're tied to your laptop, you're probably sitting in an office, you need someone else to create the content. Not everyone's going to have your amazing editing skills or creativity, so they may submit their videos and they're not very TikTok-y, or they look a little bit corporate. That's a problem on TikTok, because when you see an ad on TikTok, if it's not in the right style, if it doesn't fit in, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's a bit like an ad break on the TV. You just want to go off and get a cup of tea. That's not good for the advertiser. It's not good for TikTok. So now TikTok are adding a web-based editor. So here it is. It looks much like any editing software. But the thing about this is it's going to have the TikTok effects, the TikTok music, the TikTok everything built into it. So you'll actually be able to create videos that look like they were made on TikTok, actually within this web tool. Now, of course, there is a downside. There is a downside, and the downside is this is attached to TikTok ads. You'll need to have an ad account. It's enough to make me go and set one up, I tell you. And when you create this, you're going to be creating it in the ads interface. At the end of their tutorial, they have a very detailed tutorial, which I will link below afterwards. They do say that you can save the video, but will you be able to download it onto your computer and use it natively, or is this something you will only be able to use in ads? I do think this will work well, both for advertisers and for TikTok, because like I say, most TikTok ads are going to stand out and not look very TikTok-y, maybe look a little bit professional. I don't know if that's the correct term. With this, more businesses will be able to create ads that will fit into the TikTok ecosystem. Their ads are going to work better because they fit in, because they don't jar when people see them. When their ads work better, they want to create more ads. They're going to tell more people, and TikTok advertising will take off. So it's good for us. It's good for TikTok. I, for one, am definitely going to go and set up an account just so I can use this tool. I can see there's lots of comments. Good morning, Deirdre. Great to see you watching live from Wexford. Have you got a cup of tea or coffee in front of you? Do let me know. Barbara says, yes, totally agree. The comfort of working from a computer cannot be underestimated. I spend half my working life standing up, which isn't so comfortable like I am now, but still, like the computer, the keyboard, everything. I know iPads can do a lot. Now I use my iPad a lot more than I used to for writing, for example. But yeah, the computer does everything. Catherine, yeah, I think if Clubhouse does it as a subscription or access way, it works for influencers. But if it's like TikTok, where it feels like tips rather than paying for access. Yes. Okay. So what Catherine's saying is regarding the Clubhouse payments on YouTube and TikTok, and I think even Facebook and Instagram. If you've got enough followers, you can do a thing where people can send you a tip, and it's like a little badge or a star or something, and you pay for that. You can also pay, I think, like to be a super follower, or there's whole lots of different things. I don't do this. That's why I'm being really vague. I've seen when I've been watching live YouTube videos that people will pay money in order to be able to ask a question or to get their question featured. And yeah, I suppose that's a bit like busking, I guess. I'm not against that either, except I know, you have to be careful if you've got kids in your life that they will end up spending a whole lot of money. And tipping people, and their expectations will be huge. So I think for younger people, you really do need to manage that. So really good point, Catherine. Thank you for commenting.
I'm Ian Anderson-Gray, and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
If you were Facebook, how would you get more people to send peer-to-peer payments to each other? Firstly, I'd like to say I don't know what Facebook gets out of this, because as far as I'm aware, peer-to-peer payments, there is no charge to send those. I don't think we also have peer-to-peer payments in Ireland. I would use Revolut if I was going to send money to someone. But I know it is big in the States. And this means that people can send money to each other via Facebook. So if you're in a restaurant and you want to split, remember when we were in restaurants? And you want to split the bill, you could use Facebook payments to send your portion to someone else. It's a smart move. But Facebook are going to make it a lot easier. They're adding QR codes, and you will be able to scan your friend's QR code to send them money, which makes it frictionless, basically, to send money to a friend. Now, it's not that I'm excited about. I'm excited about if they roll this out to businesses, because you may be able to pay for your coffee in a coffee shop by scanning a QR code. Wouldn't that be cool? You're also, obviously, it would be a quicker way for you to check out online rather than rummaging around for your card in your bag. You'll just be able to scan the QR code and send money along to the retailer. I think this could be huge. I also think that this is just one more way that Facebook is going to rule the world, and we need to take that with some caution. I can see Deirdre, who's a massive Facebook fan. You'll see. I wouldn't want Facebook to know whom or where I'm sending money. And this is true. I'm not talking about the Facebook data leak today, but if you don't know about it, go and have a Google. I don't think they're always responsible. I don't think. It's clear that they haven't in the past always been responsible with our data, and I think we'd be foolish to give them too much information. So I'm slightly there with Deirdre, the biggest Facebook fan in the world. Low. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
I've been using Twitter Spaces loads over the last couple of weeks. I'm really enjoying them. But one of the problems if you are a Twitter Space host is when you start your room, you sit there and you wait for people to turn up. And it can be a little bit, should you talk to yourself? Should you talk? Should you make it sound like you're saying something in case someone arrives? And of course, there's lots of things you can do to promote it in advance. You can, tweet about it. You can share it. You can share it on social. You can get a link. You can email your list. You can agree with people that they're going to turn up in advance. And all that's good. And it will get you people to turn up. So when I hosted one as a test last week, people did show up after a couple of minutes. After a couple of minutes of me panicking, they did actually show up. But one way that you could get more people to show up to your spaces is if you could schedule them, much like I scheduled this live broadcast. And that is soon going to be a thing. As spotted by Jane Mansion Wong on Twitter, I will link to the full post below. She spotted this. Not only are you going to be able to schedule a Twitter space in advance, but you're also going to be able to have private Twitter spaces, which I think could be amazing, because are you going to feel open to chatting to people always in a Twitter space if you don't know it's safe? So if you're having a conversation around a topic, I'm not even going to suggest what those topics may be, that it is possible somebody could jump in and really set the cat amongst the pigeons and ruin the vibe of the space and ruin the space altogether. You know, having a private space would be much better, where you're just got people who are willing to discuss the topic in a reasonable way. Also, I think somebody here last week was asking about community groups. This would be a fabulous way to set up a room for your community group. It could be a great way to do some customer research, or going back to this, Catherine, as a perk, maybe for customers or members of your membership group, you could offer them this private space where you could go and have a chat every single week. And I think when Twitter launched their groups, this is going to slot into that really well. What do you think? Is this a good idea?
Hi, I'm Catherine Mason and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
So that Apple update on iPhones, on iPads, Apple update is coming, and it is going to change the way your ads work on Facebook permanently. This Apple update, I reported on it when it was first announced, but we know more now. Up until now, we didn't know when it was going to happen, but now we know it's going to happen on iOS 14.5. And we're now on iOS 14 point something. Now, if you're on Android or if you don't like Apple, this still is going to affect your ads. So it's really important to know about this. What is going to happen is when somebody goes to access Facebook, a little screen is going to come up and it says, do you want Facebook to track your activities across apps and websites? And basically, who's going to say yes to that? Like who? Hardly anyone. A few Facebook advertisers, people who work for Facebook, that's who's going to say yes, which means the Facebook pixel is basically going to stop working for those people. If somebody visits your website using iOS, you won't know what activity they've taken. You won't know if they purchased, if they downloaded something, if they filled in a form. You won't know anything about them, which means tracking your ads from these people is going to become really hard. It's not as big a deal in Ireland as it is in the States, because in the States, iPhone ownership is massive. Like here, it's very Android skewed. So it's going to affect less Irish users, but still it's going to be huge. Now if you've been putting it on the long finger, you need to do 3 things. Like everyone who has the Facebook pixel on their website needs to do 3 things. And these 3 things are, number 1, you need to go and verify your domain. And if you Google this, you will find on John Loomer's blog, he's got a full breakdown of what you need to do. But that's the first thing you need to do. To do that, you need to go to business.facebook.com. You'll log in. You'll either get Business Manager or Business Suite, whichever one Facebook has given you or decided to give you. Either one, you will find a little cog that will bring you into your business settings. Under there, you need to go to Brand Safety on the left-hand menu. You need to click on Domains, and that will take you through the process of verifying it. Now, it is a little bit tricky. It's not straightforward, something that needs to be done. After you've done that, the second thing you need to do is you need to tell Facebook which conversion events are most important to you. So if you are running an e-commerce site, for example, you will have a conversion event that happens when somebody purchases. You'll have a conversion event when somebody adds to cart. You will have a conversion event when somebody views content. And obviously the purchase is the most important one. You just need to go in, make sure that and you can only have a maximum of 8. So sometimes you'll have a purchase event for different products, which will make this kind of tricky. You need to go in and you need to put those in an order. The third thing, and this is the trickiest piece, the Pixel is a browser-based cookie, which means it's all down to the browsers that people visit your website on. And browsers are, as we've talked about, introducing new cookie-less or cookie blocking features, which again, a lot of people are going to go for. So they've introduced something called Conversions API. This isn't going to be able to give you as much information as you were able to get previously, but it is going to help you measure events on your website. Now, this is the trickiest piece of all. You'll need to talk to both your ads manager and your website developer. Get those talking to each other to make sure this is implemented on the site, because this is slightly tricky, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the difference of you knowing whether your Facebook ads are working or not. Deirdre says she won't be saying yes to Facebook. Well, there's a surprise. There's a surprise. That is all the news for this week. Just Barbara saying spaces rock. Barbara has a space every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Am I right, Barbara? From her Well Expo. So go follow her on Twitter if you want to talk about wellness. And I might see you there if you do. I will see you back here, same bat time, same bat place next week. Until then, bye-bye.